Alright, in today's episode, we continue with the South America section, specifically going into a new subsection, which is going to be the Predator Passage. In this area, we will include two very distinct predators from the continent, one of which we will build today, which is the Ocelot, and the other, which we will build in a future episode down the line. But let's start with the Ocelot, and let's get right into it. Alright, so hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Oakwood Zoo. And my god, we are just farming out these episodes. If we're getting this out when I want it to, now we've already built for 3 of the animals of the Americas pack, which I am super excited for and super hyped for, because now we've done almost half of the animals that I want to do for the pack. I've already said multiple times I don't want to do the coyote in the park. Maybe I will in the end, if I just don't really have any ideas for it, and I just don't really want to. But we now have the Saki Monkey, which was the very first one, which was still an amazing episode. You should really check that out because we will be going back to the pavilion very soon. We've done the Bush Dogs, which was earlier this week, and kind of like a separate enclosure for them. And then now we're here with the third animal, the Ocelot, which is going to be an interesting one. This is part of a new section of the zoo. It is a very small section. It is not like a giant section or anything like a bunch of new animals. It is only going to containing 2 animals, maybe 3. But this is the Predator Passage, and you'll see that this this episode is kind of a mix in the speed build of creating this new entrance to the area while also actually doing the Ocelot enclosure. There are a few things I skipped with the Ocelot enclosure in terms of recording. I didn't record most of the footage for actually building the cage of the Ocelot, just because I just honestly forgot at the first part. I didn't really think, because the hard part about recording is especially when late at night when I'm starting something, I don't think I'm gonna build I'm gonna stay on for very long, and I'm only gonna build for maybe half an hour. But then I started building the cage, and then I just continued, and then I just kept forgetting to hit record. And then once I'm into actually building it, I just don't really want to stop because I feel like I'm gonna stop soon anyway, so it's kind of no point recording. And then at that point the cage is already built, and I'm just okay, well, we might as well just come on a different time and then start recording again. So that's really what I did. I went on one time, made the cage, and then got off, and the next day I built the staff area. And actually not even the staff area was in the recording, I don't think, but the foliage is the main part. You'll see a lot of foliage in this episode, but the first part of this episode you'll see is mainly to do with the entrance of this area. Now this area is going to be a very small pathway that will lead through the tropics of the rainforest. Now obviously the entire South America section is supposed to be kind of simulating this rainforest kind of vibe with the America section, but honestly it feels more just like a city zoo, just like every other part of the zoo. But this section specifically, this tiny little path, is supposed to really dive into the foresty vibes of the path. I've changed, you can see I've done a couple details. Obviously we have the sign in the center with the Predator Passage sign, or the Ocelot on it. And then I've also changed a couple of things, I've added some ruins and some of the pieces from the Indian temple set, recoloring them to make it a little darker. I'm not too good at theming with this kind of stuff, so that was something I kind of struggled with. I tried to make some cool stuff temple towers, but it just did not really work too well, and I ended up doing a bunch of ruins across the gardens among when you're walking into the thing, which I think honestly still looks really cool. But anyway, you'll see that this area has a couple of different differences to the regular pathway, the coloring of the path, and just honestly the overall vibe of the forest closing in on you. There's a lot more forest, and there's a lot more big ferns. I used even the large versions of some of the ferns we've gotten in the tropical pack or the Oceania pack, the silver fern, a lot bigger versions of those to make it feel like you're actually in a jungle. So this entire first part of the episode is just me building that entrance. I fiddled around with the sign a bit. It took forever to actually get a font for the sign. I know I tried to use the editable signs, but they never look too good because the fonts are just kind of ridiculous, the font options. So then I looked at some fonts I already had downloaded from the workshop from previous builds, and I just tried to figure out which one of those would be the least amount of pieces to use. And after doing it a while, I ended up doing, I can't remember what exactly it was, but it got this very nice kind of New World kind of small font, which I'm perfectly fine with. I honestly prefer it to be a bit on the smaller side, especially with the Ocelot sign right next to it as a smaller cat. But it gives it a bit more I don't know, mystical and magical vibes to it, to make it kind of elusive, just like the Ocelot. And the second half of this episode is us building the Ocelot enclosure, mainly the inside of that cage, because what I did was I built the cage, I built the staff area, and then I went back in did like some foliage, like the gardens and stuff, and the guest area, and then finally did the cage, which the cage was pretty easy to do. There was a bit. This is actually the first one of the animals from the America's pack that I have had difficulty with the traversable area. Bush dogs gave me a little bit of pushback, but it was not as difficult as this because I had to reconfigure a lot of stuff in this enclosure, and you'll see that a couple of things are missing from the things I put in the speed build than in the cinematic shots because I had to take them out to get the ocelots to move around more. I think the big thing is that Planet Zoo log, like the giant log in the middle, that's kind of like half up and like sideways. That I had to fortunately get rid of. I'm not sure if it was like the hitbox, it probably was, but it was just getting in the way too much, and as soon as I deleted that and a couple other things, then it worked pretty well for the ocelot. Again, this is for the game standards, this is a small enclosure for the ocelot, especially because I need like 500 meters squared for the space, and this is only about like 150, but really I feel like it's a bit more than that just because of like the traversable area of the ocelot, and also because this feels like, I said the last episode, I'm going to stick with it, that this feels a bit more realistic for what you would see for an enclosure in an actual zoo, especially since there's only one ocelot living here. I figured that I could kind of make a story out of this, and this would be like a rescue ocelot that the zoo would have gotten maybe from like someone having it as an illegal pet, or just wandering and injured in like the city somewhere, or from another sanctuary. But I figured this could be kind of like a rescue situation, which could explain why we only have one. I believe it is a male that I put in here. It also took forever to get like shots of this thing of the ocelot for the thumbnail. I went in to do shots of it. I usually just put in like a blank enclosure, not the same enclosure as it is in, but I put in a blank enclosure and take some cool shots of it using like the G-force panel and stuff like that, and like the camera settings. But I did that. I got one that I was okay with, and then I put it in the thumbnail. Didn't like it. Went back. Just took more screenshots of it. Put it in, and I did that like 2 more times over the next 2 days when I was building it, and I was like, oh my god, like nothing really is really sticking. And I feel like it's honestly just the animal at this point, that it's not one that I really love in the thumbnail, because it doesn't look, I don't know, I like the model for it, it looks great as an ocelot, it just doesn't look very like catchy in the thumbnail. And I did change the thumbnail layout for, I did mention this in earlier in the week, but I did change the thumbnail layout just slightly. I just felt like it was a bit too similar to a couple other content creators thumbnails I've seen, so I wanted to make it a bit more unique. I like the different kind of trims on it, and just made it a bit more vibrant overall. So hopefully that will be very nice. And I'm very surprised because the new episode, the Bush Dog episode, had that new thumbnail, and it is performing still pretty well compared to like the 2 episodes from before that, even with the new thumbnail. So I thank you all for that, and I thank you all in general for the support over the last couple of weeks, because I have been working very hard to put out the episodes we've done, and there's a reason that we haven't been able to do like 4 episodes like this right after a DLC release for like the last few DLCs, just because I just haven't had the motivation. And I think most of that is, well, some of it is because we gotten the Oakwood Zoo back, because we have done so much with the Oakwood Zoo just from that point of just getting it back, and then also just because of the huge support from everyone watching these videos, because they mean a lot to me. Everyone who watches these videos, even like comments or just simply like likes it, it means a lot to me, and I honestly really appreciate that you guys enjoy the content. So I would really hope that you guys continue to enjoy it. I do have a couple more videos. I'm not slowing down anytime soon yet. I'm hoping we can keep up the pace with this. I still have a few more enclosures left to go. I have a very intricate plan going on for the zoo. I think I at least know what the plan is for finishing the South America section, which is what my main priority is right now. I'm not going to go into that too much right now because, again, I've talked about it in previous episodes. The main thing is that we will be finishing off the last 3 animals, from the America's Animal Pack. There's one more that I haven't built for, and I'm not going to build for, but there's 3 mainly that I do want to build for. 2 of them are in this kind of tropical rainforesty section. One of them is in a completely different section that I might just start to put that thing in it, and then just leave it for now, and then come back to it. But yeah, my main priority is doing the South America section front and center. But anyway, thank you to everyone who has been watching the videos recently. It means a great deal to me. I've gotten so many like nice words thrown at me recently, so I very much appreciate that. And we are also reaching 2,200 subscribers, which is insane to me, because if you look at like how long it took us to get from 1,000 subscribers to 2,000 subscribers, I did the math, or like I looked over it a bit ago, and it was about, I think, like 9-ish months, I'm pretty sure. Or honestly, I think it was more like closer to like a year or 11 months. But already within a month of like we hit 2,000 subscribers around like March 20 something, and then by now, by 23rd, we are 200 subscribers into that, like in like past 2,000. So you're already 1/5 of the way to the next big goal, which is 3,000 subscribers. But that is amazing. I thank you all so much for supporting the channel, and I really hope you guys continue to support the channel as long as I keep making content that I hope you guys will be satisfied with. I do have some plans again, like I said, so you'll have to wait and see for that. Lots to do with Oakwood Zoo, lots to do with like speculation stuff, because I do want to get that going again, because we tapped into that a bit at the beginning of the year, and I kind of left that for now. But we will be getting back to that, and of course Prehistoric Kingdom I will be also touching on in a bit. I just had to slow down myself in Planet Zoo to get myself over to there, but that might take a bit, so hold tight with me on that. So yeah, that is pretty much all I have to say for like the future of the channel. I also just wanted to thank you guys for that. Back to the Ocelot enclosure here. The main thing I really liked about this enclosure is not even like just the regular cage thing, because honestly we do cages a lot now. We've done it for like the cloud leopards, we've done it for aviary, we've done it for like the peafowl, we've done it for, I don't know, a bunch of monkeys, we've done it for the Zaki monkey, so it's not really anything too special. This is a new kind of cage I made with like the semicircle kind of vibe to it. But the very thing I really wanted to highlight here is the doors and the backstage area in general, because this is something I really tried to like make it better. I made my own like unique props and stuff. I mean, not unique, but I've made some new tables. I've remade a door that I found in like a backstage area. I'd looked up some new backstage area pictures on Pinterest to try and get inspiration for that, and using the new bracket set, or not the bracket set, it's like the gate fixture set from the Americas pack. Super helpful piece set. I don't know if I would recommend the pack just for that set, but it is a very helpful set for like doing like intricate work with like fences, and also just being barriers and poles and stuff like that. Anything to do with like a metal kind of texture you want, I would definitely recommend it. It's a bit piece heavy, but honestly so far I have found a ways to kind of move around it, and you'll see that also with the next episode, because we use them there as well. But in this episode I use them a lot with the fencing, the backstage area, especially with the door. I tried to recreate this door I saw online in a picture on Pinterest, and it looks really cool. I used like a bunch of different the circular pieces and the bracket pieces, putting them together. Looks amazing, and I'm honestly really happy with how that turned out. And then combining that with the new doors, I did get inspired by Caesar Creates, who did those doors for his new Latin America house. That is super cool. I did watch that. Very cool. Also very nice that we both did the bush dog, so it's very cool to see all the different habitats and stuff for people who are building for the same animal, yet they look so different. But yeah, those doors are definitely inspired by him, that I used in the for the staff area. I put 2 of them in there, one to get for the staff into the building, and then one to get the staff from the building to the indoor cage. But yeah, putting all that stuff together and mixing that with just the regular stuff we've also used from past builds and past backstage areas, it looks pretty good, really put together. And the guest area is very similar to stuff we've already done, just a lot more heavily populated with grass and foliage and rainforest stuff. Especially trees, giving it that very nice rainforest vibe, because most of the gardens and most like the foliage we've done so far in the general city aspect is mostly just the same kind of thing. Grasses, the ponytail palms, just kind of like that regular kind of foliage you would see in like everyday kind of like city style zoos. But in this section I really wanted to strive more on that rainforest vibe, so I put a lot more ferns in. Maybe it's unrealistic for them to just be out there, but then again we also have them in the enclosures, so it's not, I don't really see that as too big of a deal, but I honestly think it looks pretty nice. Again, this is probably maybe one of the more quicker enclosures, maybe one of the more quick enclosures, and in terms of like building wise, again maybe that's my fault because I didn't record a lot of the thing, but I honestly think it's pretty nice enclosure overall. And the Ocelot seems to be decently happy with it. So yeah, I think that's honestly pretty good. If you are looking forward to the next Planet Zoo stuff, next week I'm going to try, obviously we'll definitely have at least one Planet Zoo related video. I have a new episode that is coming out hopefully next week. I don't know actually how much I'll be able to get done with it. I am not going to be available, I'm not going to be in my at my equipment for the weekend, for this current weekend, like tomorrow and the next day, so that is unfortunate. So I don't know that will affect my progress in the next enclosure. I'm going to try and finish it before I leave, or just right after. But in the case of that not being done, I do have a backup video that will honestly probably, you guys will probably enjoy maybe a bit more, but at least definitely for the people who enjoy the speculation side of Planet Zoo. Even though we just had a DLC, there's no room to stop being speculative. So yeah, the people who enjoy speculation definitely will enjoy the next video. If I do get both videos out, amazing. If I only get the one video out, it'll probably be the speculation one with the new episode coming after that. But I don't know how that's going to go. I try my best to do both of them in the same week, but we will see. Anyway, I'm going to leave that at my part. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button if you did enjoy. Leave a comment down below if you want to talk about what your favorite part of the enclosure is, what animal you want me to build for next. I do have one in progress, but there's still 2 remaining ones. So yeah, hope you all enjoy, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys, enjoy the rest of the video, and there are cinematic shots at the end. Bye guys, have a great rest of your day.